Let's get going. We have a wonderful webinar ahead of us. Good morning, good afternoon, good day to everybody. Thank you all for being here today. We're delighted you could take some time out of your day and spend it with us talking about China and the online environment for China and what is going on in these days and how you can take advantage of what you need to have, your must-haves in China to grow your business online using online tools. So we're delighted that you could do that. And we know you're really busy. We know you're busy and you got a busy day. So we're very pleased and proud that you could take the time out today and spend it with us talking about China. Just while the last of you are logging on, I can see us logging on quickly. That's great to see. Let's do some quick introductions. I'm delighted to be joined by Melissa. Melissa Hill is a foreign commercial service officer. And she's recently just completed, she's only just completed a sojourn in Shanghai, where she covered e-commerce as well as consumer goods and things like that for U.S. commercial service, sitting there in Shanghai and getting a really in-depth, hands-on experience of the e-commerce environment as well as the consumer environment there for that. She also spent some time on the China desk back in the U.S. and has that sort of double perspective. And we want to congratulate Melissa because she's off to new adventures. Now she's heading off to be part of the Australia desk pretty soon, I think next month. So Melissa's going to be talking to us about how U.S. commercial service can help U.S. exporters, get their feet on the ground in one way or another, online, offline, in China, how they can, do market research, get gold key service for trade shows, all that, and has a lot of knowledge as well about the e-commerce environment, and as I said, also consumer goods. So we're really happy that Melissa's here to be with us and share some of her experience. I'm also super delighted and excited to be sharing today with two of my colleagues, Chuman Chen and Echo Zhao, and they are both with IBT Online and are the online marketing specialists that we have in-house to help our U.S. clients in all of their China work. So they look after the online marketing, building up landing pages, getting those WeChat accounts, liaising with their in-market partners for our clients, all of that for us at IBT Online. So they're going to be sharing some case studies, some examples of online marketing strategies and what you can and cannot do in China. So really, really pleased that Echo and Chumin are with us today. And myself, my name is Susanna Hardy. I'm Chief Content Officer at IBT Online. I'm going to really be at the beginning of the webinar, really talking to you about sort of the overall picture, the online environment for that. And maybe just a quick word on IBT Online as well as a company. So IBT Online, we're a US company. We're headquartered in Florida, but we have offices elsewhere as well. And we are what's called a full stack online marketing company. So we build websites and we do online marketing. We're known particularly for two aspects. The first is that we focus on mid-cap companies. And the second is that we're really well known for our international spread, our international reach, expertise, and ability. So those two things, sort of mid-cap companies and international. So that's really where we're focused. We're also really excited this year and very proud because in December 2023, we signed a strategic partnership agreement with U.S. Commercial Service for e-commerce in particular. And I'm working with the U.S. Commercial Service for learning events and events like today's webinar, specifically also to help with any e-commerce questions or concerns that America's exporters might have. There you have it, all the introductions. Let's get started then on the agenda. We have a very packed agenda, and we hope also a very practical agenda where you can have a lot of takeaways that you can really learn from and share with your colleagues. There's space at the end of the webinar, I hope, for Q&A. And we would really appreciate if you put your questions into the chat box at any time. and we'll get back to them in due course at the Q&A time. As I said earlier, we are really grateful that you've taken an hour out of your day, and we know you're busy. In that case, take advantage of it. Take the time. But you don't have to take any notes. We'll be looking at. We'll be sending you the slide deck. But we wanted to ask you as well: are you already doing business in China? Are you already active in China? Are you there with, are you still thinking about it? Do you have a local partner perhaps? So if you just grab your mouse and click on that, we'll have some information about you as an audience. Are you thinking about it? Do you have local partners in board? Are you already online? Do you do activity online in China? I know that can be a challenge sometimes for some people. I wanted to thank you all. You're quick on the old button, quick on the mouse. Thank you very much. Good. That was really interesting. Just to give you some feedback on that, most of you are still thinking about it, which is great. So we hit you at the start. Some of you though are quite advanced, already doing things online in China and with local partners. Right. Let's jump to it. Let's talk about the China online landscape and what that means. And I think the very first thing you have to know is that all the stuff you've learned about your U.S. domestic environment, put it to one side. China's totally different. It's a totally different online environment. The rules are different. The platforms are different. How it works, how people engage with it is different. So put all your knowledge about Google and LinkedIn and X and all that, put it to one side. So there's quite a few, international, online platforms and social media services that are either banned or have minimal presence in China. And that's basically because of something called the Great Firewall of China, the GFW. It's quite a sophisticated and quite extensive system of internet censorship, really, and surveillance, which is operated by the Chinese government. And it's part of a broader initiative called the Golden Shield Project. But it has a couple of major components and functions that it does. First of all, it can block websites. And so it blocks a lot of websites that it does not control. It blocks a lot of, particularly US, social media platforms. Facebook, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, Twitch, Pinterest. It doesn't block Google actually, but Google has a tiny market share, has like 2% market share, so it's irrelevant. So all those ones like Google, Facebook, Twitter, they're basically not existing in the China side. It can also filter and monitor internet traffic. So basically, you take the internet traffic based on keywords and content. So the GFW, the Great Firewall of China, basically can monitor it and look at the content and decide what it likes, particularly with regards to sensitive terms. And then if it doesn't like it, it can block it. It does something also called DNS spoofing. So it can intercept DNS requests and return incorrect IP addresses, which can be really annoying. It also can block IP. Specific IP addresses associated with things that they don't want, or services can be blocked. Hence, you can block all these, Snapchat or Reddit, something like that. It does something called deep packet inspection, DPIs. That allows it to analyze the data that's being transmitted over the internet and can then filter it more effectively. It can even interfere with VPNs. And the VPN use is something like 20% of people accessing the web in China are via VPN. So many VPN services are blocked, and there's a lot of protocols there, but nonetheless, people do use them. And then it looks and it's surveillance and so data collection. So it's involved in quite a lot of that. That includes monitoring online communication, social media, and other forms. So it's a pretty heavy duty thing. But if you're a company and you're not involved in politics, for example, you're involved in selling your goods and wares and straight up, we have found in our experience that there are very, very effective ways of using the internet and using your online environment effectively to gain traction. And I would say it is essential for companies looking to do business in China to think about the internet. And the reason is the number of people on the internet, the China online environment. Now, out of a population of 1.4 billion, about 1.1 billion are on the internet. And practically the same number are using social media. So on this slide, and I'm sorry for the graphs, as I said, you will get the slide deck and a recording. I've already got 3 people asking me that. Yes, you will get a recording of this with the slide deck if you want it in a PDF, and so you just have to sit back and relax and just enjoy the moment. So 1.1 billion people are online, and almost all of them use social media. The other thing that I wanted to point out is the number of people versus the number of mobile phones. Look at that, 1.43 billion people, 1.76 billion mobile phones. This is something you'll see again and again in this presentation, is the importance of mobile enablement and the importance also of social media. The internet, social media, and mobile are the 3 big themes of anything you want to do online in China. I wanted also to say another point about engagement with digital marketing. As social media comes along, people are very, very engaged with marketing, with their social media. And on this graph, the big green circle there, that's 42%. That's the number of people who research brands online before making a purchase. Okay. And in the States, for example, that number is more like just shy of 20%, I'll say 22%. So it's double that, and it's growing over time. It is developing over time. So that's something also worthwhile. So again, those 3 big things: internet use, and the Chinese population spend on average per person, the 1.1 billion people are spending an average just over 5 hours a day on the internet. They're using their mobile phone, and they're interacting very seamlessly with social media. So those are the 3 big themes that you'll find. You'll find that reflected when Melissa's talking, but also Chuman and Echo. I don't want to talk about all the different platforms. That's way too boring. But there are 2 that we should mention. The first is Baidu. Baidu is the key dominant search engine in China. It originated, I think it was founded in the year 2000 by a guy called Robin Li and Eric Xu. It was founded as a search engine. And then about 10 years later, it started to really involve, and as early as 2010, it started integrating parts of AI into it. And the ambition was to make Baidu a single seamless environment, an ecosystem of online where you would find everything. And again, that's a theme that you will find in several other projects like WeChat and other platforms that you'll find in the Chinese environment. So Baidu then sort of exploded into lots of different functions and sort of like little subsidiaries where they just built out all their functionality, like news, sort of a Reddit thing where they do Q&A, an e-commerce platform, all of that. And today they have become one of the largest AI companies, the AI giant of China, when they developed something called Baidu Brain. It's the largest AI and internet company, one of the largest in the world, with this ecosystem and then this AI. They also have a cloud-based thing. So really a very multifaceted group today, and is the dominant search engine for China. The search engine optimization is very different on Baidu. There's several parts of it. I mean, both Baidu and Google prefer websites in their own language, but Google doesn't mind. If you're setting up a Google a website in Germany, you can have a German website. That's fine. Baidu says, no, we want a Chinese, and particularly simplified Chinese. We want everything done in Chinese. They do allow some Chinese dialects, and recently they've been expanding into India, where they have also some Indian dialects. But they're very strict on the languages we're able to use. And if you're going into the China market, you want to use simplified Chinese for that. Both Google and Baidu say we want to have culturally appropriate and engaging content, but they're very different in how they apply that. Google being much broader, Baidu being much more specific on what they talk about. The technical and on-page SEO is also done very differently. They have different requirements for that kind of technology. Baidu want their websites to be hosted in mainland China, on the other side of the firewall. So you cannot build a website for China that's going to reach in the other side of the firewall if you're hosting it in the USA. You have to host it, and Baidu has to give it its okay for that. So that's quite different as well, and does have some challenges with things called ICP listings and things like that, which we can talk about if you like. Mobile SEO, that's both very important for Baidu and Google, but it's really, really important for Baidu. If your website is not mobile enabled, you're basically going to be sort of kicked out. Baidu supports something called accelerated mobile pages and mobile instant pages to improve mobile loading speed. So the whole notion of a mobile phone and mobile uploading is central to that SEO. I'm not going to go through all the different parts of search engine optimization for Baidu. I just really wanted to stress it is different from Google. The parameters chosen by the algorithm are different. The reach and abilities of Baidu versus Google is very different. So that's really just important to know. So you can't, creating a little website for the China market is a very different exercise than creating one for the U.S. markets. It requires a lot of expertise, a lot more thought, and abilities to do things. I won't go through the other ones. There's a lot of social media platforms in China. So I'm not going to talk about them all. I've just put what are the 10 top ones here on just to show you their logos and things. There's the 4 really big ones on the top, which you'll probably have heard about. Obviously WeChat, 1.3 billion people on that, average monthly users. Douyin, Weibo, QQ. Those are all the ones you'll know. But what's interesting in China is that you have these sort of mammoth platforms and companies that want to do a full ecosystem like Baidu, WeChat, and then you have other ones that are really specific. Hi, we do kids channel videos, or we do short reels only, that kind of thing. So things like Echo and Truman are going to laugh when I pronounce it, but Qiu Hongshu, which means Little Red Book, for example, is it has very specific things that they want to do. So these are all very different, very specific ones. Douyin, for example, is sort of like a Chinese version of TikTok, developed by ByteDance, but it's almost like on steroids. It's huge. Douyin has about nearly 800 million monthly active users. So it's all these different ones like that, and depending on how you want to and who you want to reach and how you want to reach them, you need to think about which platform. So the platform you use becomes really important. I will do a quick shout out to WeChat. WeChat is a sort of multifunctional mobile app. It was developed originally by Tencent. It was launched in 2011, so pretty early on, and it spread right from the start as something that wanted to be a whole system. So it's very widely used in China and now outside China as well. You'll find it throughout Southeast Asia, India, lots of other places as well. But in the China use of it is quite distinct. It's very comprehensive. It has a large range of features and integrations into absolutely every aspect of daily life. Here's a really a little succinct overview. It does messaging, so text, voice, video messaging, along with group chats. So it's a messaging app. a fully functional messaging app. It's also a social media app. So it does things called Moments feed, and that shares your updates. You share photos, videos, anything else that you want with the so-called Moments. It does payments. It has like an e-wallet, WeChat Pay, and that allows you for mobile payment, money transfers, paying your utility bill, paying a taxi, all kinds of things for that. And that's interesting for e-commerce, which we'll touch on in a second. It also has something called official accounts. Those are really for businesses. And this is like the sort of the golden egg that you want to reach. If you're a company, you want to get onto that official accounts. And that's for businesses, media, celebrities. They can create their official accounts. And there you share content and you interact with the followers of that account. Then it has something called mini programs, lots of mini apps, shopping, games, betting, all kinds of things for that. And then voice and video calls, obviously, for telephoning, and lots of other services, taxi, calling taxis, food delivery, booking appointments, getting in touch with the government, all kinds of things. It is really impressive. One app has it all. I'm going to pass over to Melissa, but before I do, a quick sort of introduction, just overview of the China e-commerce environment. Again, a very different environment to what you would be used to in the USA or other markets. And Melissa's going to go into some of that detail. Here's sort of a summary slide, if you like. There's sort of like it's 5 or the 6 top features that we see when we're looking at e-commerce in China, and just wanted to sort of bring a few of them out. The importance of social commerce. Those are key opinion leaders, KOLs, are really, really important. This influencer marketing, for example, integration of apps like WeChat and super apps are totally integrated into the e-commerce experience. Payments are really important, and this sort of ubiquitous of e-wallets for that, and QR codes, seriously important there. Logistics is very competitive, very tight. Innovative shopping, I think Melissa's got some great examples of that, particularly for Singles Day. But there are others. There's double 12. There's 618. There's lots of other shopping festivals, and then it's got lots of other features, like it does something called consumer to manufacturer models. Pinduoduo, for example, direct consumer input. For that, and this sort of whole omni-channel, so the integration of online and offline retail experiences. Alibaba, for example, has something called a Hema supermarket. You combine a physical store with online shopping, delivery service, live stream at the same time, so it's a very integrated. One last chart. I said that advanced mobile payment solutions were very important. E-wallets are seriously important in China. And I just wanted to show you this one slide with some numbers on it, for the payment methods used for e-commerce. If you note that the share of B2C e-commerce transactions attributable to digital e-wallets, digital mobile wallets, 65%, okay, and 17.6% for credit cards. That is pretty well the reverse of the USA, where e-wallets are about just under 20%, and debit and credit cards mainly, are about 70% of e-commerce transactions. So in China, you need to make sure that you have that e-commerce experience, that e-wallet, and that goes for B2B as much as for B2C. Right. I'm going to ask one more question, and then I'm going to pass over to Melissa to talk us a bit more about e-commerce in particular. I want to sort of ask you all, do you want to learn more about China websites? Are you interested in we can send you some blogs or some links or some things like that if you have an interest in learning more about that. If you're thinking particularly about e-commerce, the online environment and websites, let us know, and we're happy to send you some things, or we can send you point you in the right direction. Great. With that, thank you very much again for answering that poll. I'll pass over to Melissa, please. Melissa.
Thank you so much, Susanna. And I am very excited to be here today. Thank you for inviting me. So, good morning, everyone. I have to apologize in advance. I have a little bit of a cold, so hopefully my voice will hold out through my entire presentation. So, as Susanna mentioned, I am Melissa Hill. I am a Foreign Commercial Service Officer. I'm posted to the U.S. Commercial Service San Diego office right now, but I have recently completed prior assignments at the U.S. consulate in Shanghai, China, where I covered e-commerce, retail, and consumer goods, as well as the China desk in DC. And as Susanna mentioned, I will be onward to Sydney this summer. So next slide. A little bit about the U.S. Commercial Service. Our mission is to grow U.S. exports and to increase U.S. jobs. Next slide. So what do? We are America's export experts. So the U.S. Commercial Service is the lead trade promotion arm of the U.S. government. We have trade service professionals in over 100 U.S. cities and more than 75 countries to help U.S. companies increase sales into new global markets. Our offices overseas are generally located within the U.S. embassies or the U.S. consulates, and they are staffed with industry experts to help you understand the market and to meet key decision makers. Next slide. I just wanted to quickly show a map of our domestic presence. You can see our reach. We really have offices located across the entire US in close distance to any major metropolitan areas. So there will be an office close to you as we provide coverage of the entire US. Next slide. And here is our global presence. So as I said, we have offices in more than 75 countries across the world in the US embassies and consulates. So we do have a global reach. Next slide. And as we are talking about China, you can see we really have a large footprint in China. We have 5 offices covering nationwide coverage of Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenyang, and Wuhan, with 1 office in Hong Kong. Next slide. So why should you work with us? Well, we have worldwide recognition. Obviously, as the U.S. government, we can open doors that no one else can in markets around the world. We have the global network I mentioned, and we're results driven. Some of the examples of services that we can provide U.S. companies, we can provide export counseling. We can help you with market intelligence, analyzing potential and foreign competitors. Market potential and foreign competitors. We also have business matchmaking services. You may have heard of our flagship service called the Gold Key service. And through the Gold Key, we help you connect with pre-screened potential buyers. And we can also help with commercial diplomacy issues, addressing trade obstacles to help you successfully enter new international markets. Next slide. So I know you've all tuned in today to learn about China's trillion-dollar e-commerce market and the export opportunities therein for U.S. consumer goods companies. So today I will provide you with a high-level overview on the opportunities and challenges for U.S. consumer goods companies when they enter China, primarily through the cross-border e-commerce channel. I'll walk you through what Chinese consumers are buying, what e-commerce platforms they're using, tools and best practices to utilize when building a brand and marketing to Chinese consumers, as well as challenges like IP concerns that U.S. companies face when they enter China through e-commerce. So turning to this first slide, I've created a bar chart here to demonstrate the size of China's e-commerce market compared to the U.S. market. And these are growth projections by eMarketer through 2027. So while China accounted for less than 1% of the global e-commerce market a decade ago, today it is the world's largest e-commerce market. And you can see projected sales for 2027 for China are $3.98 billion compared to the US, which is $1.72 billion. So you can see there is definitely opportunity there for US companies. Next slide. So why is China's e-commerce market growing so fast? What can we attribute this rapid growth? Well, the first factor I'd say is rapid growth of internet usage in China. Susanna touched upon this, how much time Chinese consumers are spending online and particularly on their mobile phones. China has more than 1 billion internet users, which is more than the combined populations of the United States, Indonesia, Brazil, and Bangladesh, 4 of the world's most populous countries. Chinese people love to shop online. As of December 2023, around 84% of internet users in China had shopped online. China's mobile phone usage, which Susanna also touched on, in 2023, more than 1 billion Chinese people accessed the internet via their mobile phones, accounting for 99.9% of internet users. China also has a vast logistics ecosystem. Chinese e-commerce giants Alibaba and JD.com have found success in part by developing these highly efficient systems and networks. In fact, Alibaba manages a cross-country network of delivery firms that can process up to 30 million items per day. Also, China has a growing middle class in lower tier cities. China's middle class has grown rapidly to 500 million, over a third of China's total population. And those in the lower tier cities don't have access to, the brick and mortar retail options that they have in the first and second tier cities. So they're buying more and more products online. Next slide. So this is kind of a fun slide to just show you what, with such huge numbers of e-commerce sales in China, what are Chinese people buying online? So the answer is anything and everything. I've included some examples of interesting things you can buy on e-commerce sites in China in this slide. Here you see you can pay a Chinese food delivery man to feed the seagulls for you on the food delivery site Olame. This was really useful for Chinese citizens during COVID when they were quarantined, who usually make an annual pilgrimage to feed migrated seagulls. They've been paying delivery men to do it for them. We also have you can pay someone to give you a compliment on the Chinese e-commerce site Taobao. You can also pay somebody to sample food for you and report back with photos and details. This service is offered on the platform Xianyu. Vendors will even take pictures and videos of the food, give you details of what you're missing out on. Next slide. So some more wacky items for sale. I just think these are so interesting. You can buy live medical leeches on JD.com for 38 yuan. A singles day, Chinese singles day shoppers can buy 5 leeches, and they were advertised for use on the human body for medical purposes. And the shop gives you instructions on how to use the leeches. You can customize noodles with your name on Tmall. You can have your name, a blessing, or anything else written on the noodles. You can have your fortune told on Tmall. And last but not least, you can buy a Boeing 747 plane up for auction on Taobao. So you see, you really can get anything online in China. Next slide. So here is a slide representing the market segmentation of what folks are buying in China. In 2023, Consumer Insights Global Survey broke down merchant segments on Chinese e-commerce platforms. And you can see from this chart some of the major categories: clothing and apparel, household goods, daily necessities, groceries, and cosmetics were all very popular online categories for purchase in 2024. Okay, next slide. Okay, so where are Chinese consumers shopping online? The e-commerce space in China is by and large dominated by domestic platforms. Alibaba, which consists of Taobao, Tmall, and Tmall global websites, continues to hold the largest market share. However, that has been declining. In 2015, they owned 78% of the market share. Now they own just under half, and they are expected to fall even further, according to eMarketer. The rise of social commerce, which I'll talk about in more depth in a few slides, and Susanna mentioned, that has shifted consumer interests to browsing and interaction over a targeted product search. And that's led to the fast rise of domestic e-commerce companies like Pinduoduo. So this is a new model of social media e-commerce that leverages group purchasing. It's overtaken dozens of competitors in the past 3 years to become the third largest platform. And then other companies make up the remaining market share. Here you see 20%, including Kaola, Little Red Book, Xiaohongshu, Alibaba, Suning, VIP Shop, and others. Next slide. So I want to talk a little bit specifically about what China market entry opportunities are for US firms. So I mentioned cross-border e-commerce. This is a really great way for US companies to enter the market, especially initially. It provides US consumer goods firms with the opportunity to sell directly to Chinese consumers and avoid much of China's product registration requirements, including those for cosmetics and personal care products. Historically, US companies or foreign companies have been required to animal test to sell on brick and mortar stores or traditional channels in China. That has softened recently, and they have allowed for a government issued GMP certificate in the place of that. But through cross-border e-commerce, you can avoid those requirements. China's personal care and cosmetics market that continues to experience growth. Sales of beauty and personal care in China reached 88 million in 2021, so that was a rise of 10% on the previous year. And some opportunity areas are color cosmetics and fragrances, which saw particularly impressive growth. And last but not least, I'll talk more about this in a few slides, is live streaming. So according to an Ali Research Institute report, live streaming e-commerce users reached 388 million, accounting for 39.2% of China's total Chinese netizens. So the three top live streaming platforms for live streaming are Taobao, JD, and Douyin, which Susanna mentioned is China's version of TikTok. Next slide. So I would be remiss if I did not mention China market entry challenges for US firms. So in recent years, cyber and data security and personal information regulations have posed new challenges for industry. This is not only impacting the technology sector, but almost all sectors that are built on the use of data, like e-commerce, logistics, connected vehicles, smart healthcare, etc. I mentioned the animal testing requirement, which has historically posed a hurdle for entry into China's cosmetics market, as all cosmetics products sold through traditional channels had to have been tested by the National Medical Products Administration, even if the product has already been tested overseas. However, I mentioned China has recently softened its requirements for foreign cosmetic sales and no longer requires animal testing if the manufacturer's home country issues a good manufacturing practices certificate. Unfortunately, our U.S. federal government does not offer a good manufacturing practices certificate. However, many states across the U.S. have started offering their own version, including I know California offers one as well. So you can get the equivalent of that at a state level in many U.S. states and be able to avoid that animal testing requirement. And then last but not least, certainly not least, I absolutely have to mention intellectual property. Protecting intellectual property rights on e-commerce platforms is a challenge for U.S. businesses. In 2018, China issued the e-commerce law, which is designed to address rampant online infringement of intellectual property IP rights and includes notices and takedown mechanisms. However, I really have to point out that China is a first to file country, so it is crucial for you to, before you ever even think about entering China or enter China, you must register your IP and your trademark. And if that's something that you need help with, you can contact us. We actually have China IP attaches who are located in our offices, in several of our offices in China, and we can help you understand that process and connect you with resources. That is crucially important. First step to entering China is always protecting your IP. Next slide. Okay, so what is cross-border e-commerce and what are the benefits of selling into China through a cross-border e-commerce channel? So simply put, it's the selling and buying of products through online shops across national borders where the seller and buyer are in different countries. Cross-border e-commerce import volume in China reached approximately 331 billion in 2023. So the benefits of selling through this channel, and I mentioned some of these briefly before, it's a huge growth opportunity. You have a direct line of sale to end consumers. You can avoid the local product registration and testing and avoid many of the mandatory Chinese labeling requirements. Next slide. Okay, I wanted to turn toward mobile commerce, or m-commerce as it's called in China. And as Susanna actually mentioned this, that already that Chinese people spend about 5.5 hours a day on mobile phones. And that is about an hour more than those of us in the United States. So what are they doing? Well, they're on social media, apps like WeChat, Weibo, Taotiao, and QQ. They are online shopping. In 2023, there were 953.8 million mobile payment users in China, compared to only 114 million in the US. As Susanna mentioned, mobile payments are much more prevalent in China than in the US. And so mobile payment apps, actually over 87.3 of Chinese internet users had adopted the use of mobile payment apps in 2023, compared to only 30.8% of American shoppers. Next slide. So more on Chinese social media and e-commerce. Susanna did talk about WeChat already. 1.3 billion monthly users as of 2023. This is a really important app in China, though, in terms of social media, something that a U.S. company really needs to be aware of and pretty much more than likely should leverage as you enter China and you're selling into China. So she already did give you kind of a good overview of WeChat. She mentioned it's really all of your phone apps rolled into one. Chinese internet users spend an average of 1 hour and 20 minutes a day on WeChat. 88% of Chinese respondents said they use WeChat every single day. Social engagement with e-commerce platforms is facilitated by social media apps like WeChat and others. These apps can be used to post content, enable discussion on products, share user recommendations and reviews, ask questions, and Susanna mentioned mini programs. So WeChat users can make online purchases through mini programs without ever leaving the app. So you see here on the left-hand side, I have a photo of Sephora's WeChat mini program landing page. In 2024, 924 million Chinese users used mini programs devoted to e-commerce, and you really can do anything in their online shop, buy movie tickets, order food delivery, and more. Next slide. So more on the rise of social commerce and live streaming. China has seen a sharp rise in what's been termed social commerce. And social commerce, what that is it involves online media that supports social interaction and user contributions to assist with buying and selling of products and services. So live streaming e-commerce is a key trend rising from Chinese social commerce. Sales for live streaming were estimated to be 692 billion in 2023. Live streaming attracted 765 million users in 2023 and were responsible for 25.3% of China's total online shopping sales. So platforms like Bilibili, YY, Inky have hundreds of millions of users who regularly tune in for these live streaming events. And through live streaming, brands can use real-time interactive media to promote products and educate consumers. Next slide. And more on China's key opinion leaders, or KOLs as they are called. And this is our equivalent of really our social media influencers. So Chinese fashion and beauty influencers, called key opinion leaders or KOLs, have become a central piece of many business marketing strategies in China. According to a Chinese consumer survey conducted by Rakuten Insight in May 2023, about 86% of respondents who had followed at least one influencer on social media said they'd purchased the products endorsed by the influencer. And by 2025, the influencer economy in China is expected to hit a staggering 1 trillion. So huge opportunity there, and important for foreign firms to leverage these KOLs in live streaming. Next slide. Okay, and I want to just talk about China's shopping holidays. So Susanna mentioned there are, several shopping holidays in China. The most important one, the biggest one, is November 11th, or Singles Day, as a 24-hour shopping event in China, and that sees huge discounts across millions of products on e-commerce platforms run by Alibaba, JD.com, and other e-commerce players. So as you can see from this chart, which is in billions of dollars, China's Singles Day holiday generates more sales, significantly more sales, as you can see, than Black Friday and Cyber Monday in the US combined. So you see this is billions. In 2023, the sales for Singles Day in China were $156 billion, whereas Cyber Monday was 12.4 billion and Black Friday was 9.8 billion. So, this is important holiday in China. Big money in sales. So retailers, JD.com and Alibaba have also began extending the shopping holiday event in the past few years to run more than 24 hours from November 1st to midnight on November 12th. Next slide. Okay, and that is the end of my slide deck. Thank you all so much. And this is my email. Of course, I would be happy to chat with anybody about, the U.S. commercial service, how we might be able to help you, support you entering China or any other market worldwide. So please feel free to get in touch.
Thank you,
Suzanne?
Melissa. That was a terrific overview of U.S. commercial service offerings and how they can help, how you all can help U.S. companies, and the overall picture of e-commerce. Now I'm going to turn to Chuman and Echo. And by the way, this poll is going on. Thank you so much. Lots of you want to learn more about e-commerce. We're delighted. Thank you very much. We will send you links and get in touch or send you blogs and steer you in the right direction. Thank you so much about that. I'm going to turn now to Chuman and Echo, where we're running good on time. That was snappy on time. So you heard Melissa, from Melissa's point of view, this overview from U.S. commercial services. Now you're going to see some of the examples of what happens on the ground from companies like us who are there helping U.S. Companies actually in China doing all this online marketing strategies and websites. So I think Chuman, you go first.
Great, thank you, Susanna. Hi, everyone. Good to join with you today in our webinar. I'm, like Susanna mentioned, I am an online marketing manager with IBT Online. I oversee digital marketing strategy for our clients, and I'm also day-to-day contact to work closely with our clients to align with their business goal, working on the optimizations on their social media marketing and the search engines pay campaign. And in today's webinar, I want to first of all do a deeper dive in what Melissa and Susanna has mentioned before. And online marketing in China is very, very different from what you are used to in the USA and in other markets. And China is often considered a very challenging market for US exporters. So I want to share some absolute key points for every one of you to know when entering this market in China. So it is very essential. First of all, you need to understand Chinese consumer behavior, conduct thoroughly market research to understand the unique preference, behaviors, and cultural nuance of Chinese consumers. And the second is the localization. Localization is key. You need to adapt your products, marketing strategies, and messaging to cater to the Chinese market. This includes translating content into Mandarin, Cantonese, adjusting products, features, and pricing strategies. And the third essential point is the regulatory compliance. You need to be familiar with Chinese regulations and legal requirements for your industry, ensure compliance with customs, imports, exports regulation, and product certifications. As we work on, as we are the daily contact and we are the account managers for our clients, we work on this regulations compliance for our clients in every step of the process when we are doing social media marketing and the search engine marketing for them. The last essential point for entering China is building the relationships with local partners, distributors, and government authorities to navigate the complex business landscape effectively. Next slide. And so whilst we are working on different clients, different markets, different industries, I also want to inclusive strategy here is that we advocate for our clients. First of all, is the market research and localizations. We do a very thorough market research to understand Chinese consumer preference and behaviors and all the cultural differences when we enter this market. And localizations of products, branding, and marketing content is very crucial for resonating with target audience. On all sorts of platforms, you need to do the localizations and understand the users' behavior in different market and in different industry and different platforms. And the second strategy will be establishing a strong online presence in China. Leverage Chinese e-commerce platforms such as Tmall, Jingdong, and Pinduoduo to reach a wider audience. Implemented search engine optimizations on Baidu or on WeChat, and investing in targeted online advertising are essential for increasing the visibility and driving traffic to your brands. The third one will be to collaborate with local distributors and key opinion leaders, KOLs, to enhance brand credibility and expand market reach. Forming alliances with established players in the industry can also help navigate regulatory complexities and logistical challenges. Here I want to mention case studies that I've been working on, the US company I've been working with, and that I also see success in the market and how they have achieved ROI in the China market. So this company is called IBT Online, and they are in gas and oil industry, B2B. And our strategy for them is they leverage IBT Online's online global program to establish a strong digital presence in China. And the approach we use for them is to build, first of all, a Chinese website, optimize their websites for Chinese search engines, created localized content in Mandarin, and utilize social media platforms like WeChat for engagement. And more of it, we run by running search campaigns on Baidu platform and display campaigns on WeChat. We have ensured to receive a good amount of leads and inquiries continuously in China. So as a result, IBT Online experienced significant return on investment in the China market with increased brand visibility, lead generation, and sales conversions. And by leveraging digital strategy tailored to the Chinese market, they achieve sustainable growth and success. Celia, can you put the slides back to the Baidu Jimuyu and landing page? Thank you. So here I want to show you what Baidu looks like and what is Jimuyu and the landing page. So as Susanna mentioned before, Baidu search engine is the biggest search engine in China. Think of it as Google. So everything you search, the function is similar. And when you search for here, I put OTech in the search bar. It's one of our clients as well. When you search OTech, as we're running campaigns on Baidu, so you will see them as the first results in the search engine on Baidu. And on the right hand side, this is a mobile landing page, which we can use as a landing page of our ads, where we have the description of the products and the form submissions for users to reach out. These are all in local language. And in 2021, Baidu enforced for all mobile placements call to action more suitable for Chinese users' habits, such as phone calls. As in China, the users are more likely to give you a call than submitting a form. So it's quite different than how we do in the US, submitting a form on the website. And mobile landing page can be a great way into China for companies that don't have local representation. Next one, I want to hand over to our colleague Echo Zhao to talk about WeChat organic profiles that we've been working for our clients. Echo, over to you.
Thank you, Chumin. Hello, everyone. I'm Echo Zhao here, an online marketing manager at IBT Online. As Solana and Chumin mentioned, I have been working closely with Chumin and the team on marketing projects in China. And I'm so glad to be here and to share some insights for China with you. Now we are talking about WeChat marketing strategy, which is crucial for establishing and growing the brand presence in Chinese market. As you can see in the slides, I know the slides came before me. First and foremost, creating an official WeChat account is essential, but you may need some help. It's not as simple as you might imagine, but we have a lot of experience doing this kind of thing. In China, trust is incredibly important. So having a certified WeChat account shows that you are a legitimate and a professional brand. So it's the foundation of your credibility in the Chinese market. And next, you need to add a custom menu to your WeChat account, like you can see in the second picture. The menu should provide detailed information about your products, about your company, and about your company values. You should aim to make it interactive and engaging to create a visual appealing experience. As you can see in the picture that we used a lot of images for our clients. And of course, content is key also on WeChat. The strategy should involve publishing a variety of content types, including blog posts, infographics, and detailed articles. This content serves as a base of your branding effort and helps your users to understand more about your brand, more about your company. Also, while visibility and exposure on WeChat can be challenging and costly, you should use WeChat as an information hub and much more like a website. The goal should be to direct potential customers, partners, and agents to your WeChat account for more detailed information. And another point is that WeChat is more about engagement other than broad exposure. While the audience expects to find more extensive information about your brand, including your brand spirit and lifestyle, remember, these platforms helps them to deeply understand who you are. Talking back to the exposure and engagement, which is not about how many, instead it's about how deep and how much the audience care about what they know about you. And we all know building a community takes time, so does WeChat strategy. You should focus on building a follower base and community over 6 months to a year. And it's only after establishing this base that you should be considering developing an additional strategy, such like WeChat Shop and the special functionality. I'm not going to give too much detail here, but if you have any question or any interest in this one, you can just drop us a message or just get in touch with us. And also, understanding your audience is crucial. You need to continually listen to your followers to understand their needs and their preference. They will help you to in developing new features and content that truly resonant with them. And in summary, the WeChat strategy should be focusing on building trust through an official account, providing valuable, engaging content, fostering deep engagement, and gradually developing additional features based on your community's needs. So, and that is all that I would like to share for today. And now hand over back to you, Susanna.
Actually, Truman, why don't you just round up then? We're
Thank you.
very
Thank you,
tight on
Echo.
time.
Great. I just want to mention here is that me and Echo showcase the examples of Baidu and WeChat here. But as very different markets, different industry, we use different platforms. So some of the industry use Tmall, some of the industry use Redbook, Xiaohongshu. So if you have any questions regarding what to use in your industry and what digital strategy you need to use for yourself, for your company, let us know, and we will be happy to answer your questions. Over to you, Susanna.
Thank you, Chuman. I just want to we're sort of going to round up now, some takeaways, some next steps for things, and I guess really fast, since we're hitting up against our hour, we wanted to really sort of leave you with a message about how we consider, as an online marketing company, how we look at the future of sales. And nowhere is this more obvious than in China, where it is very digitally plugged in. Everybody's on their phone, 2 phones. Many of them have 2 phones or more, and they're online and they're buying online. And so e-commerce is a must-have. Some form of e-commerce. It doesn't have to be the full gateway, whatever, but some form of interaction. And as Echo and Chuman said, building trust is so essential. But it's also it's the way you have to meet your customer where they want to be. It is customer centric. It is omni-channel. It's on the channel they want, how they want, when they want. So that nowhere is that more obvious than in China. There's another takeaway. China environment is totally different from what you know in your U.S. For your U.S., just been what you know. China environment is significantly different. And you're not going to be on LinkedIn and Reddit and Snapchat and things like that. The environment for China is dominated by Baidu, by WeChat, and then by a whole host of very specific platforms for the online environment, the social media and search engine. And platforms, anything from Youku to Weibo, QQ and so on, also many. And then, on the next slide, please, Celia. Just remember that some of those big names, they are very different. How they operate is different, and how you integrate with them can be pretty complex. But nevertheless, we believe that your website, or at least the landing page, and your online marketing can really be your best sales rep, especially in a market like China. If you're looking to do business in China, your Chinese prospects will expect you to have a website, will expect you to have some. If you meet someone at a trade show, you give them a business card, they'll look for the QR code first of all, and then if you don't have one, fine, they'll Google you, or they'll Baidu you. They will search for you, and they'll search for your website, and they will check to see if you're legitimate, if you're real, if you really are what you say you are and do what you do. So as Echo was saying a couple of times, building trust is that essential. The good news is you don't have to do this alone. U.S. Commercial Service is there for you, and you've got Melissa's email, but the map of the China ones, but also of all the ones in the States, all the ones across the world. So U.S. Commercial Service is there as a helping hand. China is complex. There's a lot of layers to it. It's very different from your domestic market. You need a helping hand. U.S. Commercial Service is there. By the way, you also have very specialized companies like IBT Online. We're also here. We're also experienced, although we're in the private sector. If you go to our website, our website is ibt.onl, and look at the resources page or the services page, you'll see a ton of resources which you can download for free. A lot of them about China and Chinese things. Woof! There's quite a few questions in the inbox. I am very aware that we have kept you beyond the hour. Thank you all for staying. Almost none of you dropped off. Thank you for that. We will reply to you separately by email to the questions. There's a whole string of them that's also asking to share the presentation and the slide deck. Yes, you will get the presentation in your inbox tomorrow. If you don't see it, check your spam, but it should be there. I want to then thank my colleagues Truman and Echo for all the work they do, helping exporters really understand and get traction and great, fantastic lead generation in the Chinese markets. I'm really grateful for your knowledge and for your work there, Truman and Echo. Thank you very much, and especially Melissa, sharing her expertise despite having a cold, sharing her expertise and knowledge about the e-commerce environment in China. Most of all, thank you all for attending and being here with us and sharing some time with us. We're delighted that you could spend a moment learning more about China and the online environment in China. Look out for our next webinars. There's one coming up on India. There's some coming up on Europe. All kinds of things. Look forward to seeing you all again soon. Thank you again, Jumin, Echo, Melissa, and all of
Thank
you
you,
for attending.
everyone.
Thany you. Bye
Great
bye.
talking to
Happy
you
exporting.
Bye,
Thanks.
everyone.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.